We're in the final days of Advent, and little kids are thinking about Santa Claus and Christmas gifts. And Joy and I have been parents now for 22, 23 years. We've done it many times. And one of the questions that a lot of parents have is, what about Santa Claus? Do we talk about Santa Claus? How do we make Christmas about Jesus Christ? And then you have this giant marketing apparatus around Santa Claus with the red outfit and the white beard. And my recommendation would be to focus on the origin story of Santa Claus, which is Saint Nicholas. Pretty much everybody knows Santa Claus is Saint Nicholas, but if we can distill things and bring it back to Saint Nicholas, it's beneficial for the children and for us. Why? Saint Nicholas lived in the late 200s into the 300s. He was born into a very wealthy Christian family. He went on to be a priest and a bishop. And the story about the gifts actually goes back to a very sad story about human trafficking. Now, you want to tell your kids the story, but you might want to make it PG. But during that time period, poor families who did not have any status in society, often their daughters would not be eligible for marriage or would not be desired for marriage. And back then, there wasn't the option of, well, just go to college and get your BA in journalism or go become a barista. Most of the time, these young girls would find a life in prostitution, in sex trafficking. And in the original story of St. Nicholas, there is a man who's lost his wife, he's a widower, and he has 3 girls, and he's very poor. And it comes to St. Nicholas's attention as a pastor in that town that these young girls are in danger of becoming prostitutes as they come of age. So Nicholas, at Christmas, according to the tradition, sneaks into their house. The original story does not say down the chimney, probably through a window, and he leaves a bundle full of gold in the home. The father finds this and he's able to use this as a dowry, and the first daughter is married. A few years later, same thing happens. Nicholas comes into the house for the second daughter and leaves a bundle of gold. And then the third time, the father begins staying up at night wondering, who is this that's leaving this money? And he catches Saint Nicholas, the local priest, the local pastor. And it's a moment of redemption, and the family becomes Christian, and it's living, happily ever after. And it shows Nicholas is a disciple of Jesus Christ. He believes in Jesus Christ. As we'll see in just a moment, he's completely dedicated to the incarnation of Christ. And that faith, that belief, translates into him giving gifts. And later in life, the Diocletian persecution comes along, and Nicholas is arrested by the Roman authorities, and he's rotting in a jail cell. And he's going to be killed. He's literally on death row. And they're saying to him, just renounce Jesus Christ, renounce being a Christian, and you can go free. And he says no. He stays in prison. And at that time, many of the bishops were executed. Nicholas was on death row to be executed. And then a miracle happened in the Roman Empire. Constantine tolerated Christianity. He made Christianity legal. And because of that, Nicholas was able to leave prison and resume his pastoral ministry. So we see Nicholas as having come from a wealthy family, taken a vow of poverty, giving his wealth to those who are in need, becoming a prisoner for the sake of the gospel. And then later in life, in 325, Constantine calls all the bishops of the world to a town called Nicaea to debate a dogmatic issue. There was a priest from Alexandria, Egypt, named Arius, and he was saying Jesus is actually created by God the Father. He's not eternal, he's not consubstantial, he's not equal to the Father. He's actually a lower being that was made by God the Father. Now, the biblical teaching is that Jesus Christ is the Son of God. He's fully God, he's fully man, he's co-eternal with the Father. And of course, St. Nicholas was on the right side of this debate. And during that council, Arius got up to speak and started preaching his blasphemy, preaching his heresy, saying, Jesus is lower than the Father, he's not truly God. And Nicholas was so outraged at this heresy, according to tradition, he got up and he smacked Arius across the face, which got him in trouble, but he was vindicated later. And so we see Nicholas here is also a great defender of orthodoxy. He has no time, he gave the H slap to a heretic. He has no time for heresy. He is a defender of the incarnation. And so those two incidents from his life, giving gifts to the poor, and then also defending the incarnation of Jesus Christ as fully God, incarnate of the Virgin Mary. That's what sort of sets Nicholas up as the patron of Christmas. And so if you can teach your children that Nicholas is a pastor, he's a bishop, and he is a giver, and he's also a defender of the incarnation, that's a great teaching opportunity for families, for kids. And Joy and I found at Christmas time, we would put a Byzantine icon of St. Nicholas on the wall. And as we talked about St. Nicholas, we'd be like, that's St. Nicholas. And they see him as a Christian pastor and not just sort of a mythological figure. So I hope that's helpful. And there's also another kind of cool bookend about Nicholas. As you know, Nicholas's feast day in the Catholic Church is December 6th. That's the day he died. So in the Catholic Church, usually when someone dies, that date is their feast day. So Nicholas died on December 6th. And then in the Catholic Church, we also celebrate on January 6th, the coming of the Magi. It's the feast of the Epiphany, or the manifestation of the Christ to the Gentiles. And you'll remember when the Magi came, the three wise men, they brought gifts to Jesus Christ: gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And so the whole theology of gift giving is really rooted in the gospel, where the Magi are bringing gifts to Jesus to testify to his divinity, his high priesthood, and his death. Gold is the divinity, frankincense is his priesthood, myrrh is his death. And so gift giving is overly commercialized in our time, and St. Nicholas is overly commercialized. But if we get back to the Bible, we get back to the true origin story, we see that gift giving and the incarnation of Jesus go together. And the fact that January 6th is our feast day for Epiphany, the Magi coming to give gifts to Jesus, and December 6th is the feast of St. Nicholas, who is the gift giver. We have perfect bookmarks here for a whole month, December 6th to January 6th, showing us the Christian, the self-sacrificial mode of giving gifts for the sake of Jesus. And all of that together is a way, over the years, you can teach your kids that giving gifts is to help the poor. It's to reinforce that Jesus gave himself as a gift, and then that the Gentiles, the Magi, came and also gave symbolic gifts to Jesus Christ. So that's the true meaning of Christmas as it relates to St. Nicholas. And I've written a historical novel that tells the true origin story of St. Nicholas. If you like fiction, it's geared towards young adults, but a lot of adults read it. It's called Nicolaus, and it's the fourth part of my historical fiction series called Sword and Serpent. Nicolaus last year was a #1 bestseller, and it's a short novella telling the story that I just recounted to you, but in a beautiful way. It shows the grittiness and the grime and the sin and the degeneracy of the Roman Empire in the 300s, and then how that begins to be transformed by the witness of Christians like St. Nicholas, St. George, St. Christopher, and how that Roman Empire that is so pagan and so sinful begins to be redeemed by the witness and the presence of disciples of Jesus Christ. So if you're interested in that story and you'd like a great story, maybe for young adults, even for kids as well, the sex trafficking is toned down in the book. I'd really encourage you to get a copy of my book, Nicolaus, and discover the true story of St. Nicholas as it relates to this true story of Jesus Christ. May your Advent journey continue to be blessed, and may you have a happy and holy Christmas. And I'll have a message for you on Christmas as well. So God bless and Godspeed.